Hello, I'm Orna Ross and I am an Irish indie author and I am director of the Alliance of Independent Authors. So I'm very embedded in writing, but I am here today to talk about something different. The name of the broadcast is the Go Creative Show, and this is my latest project. I'm really a little bit overwhelmed and quite excited to be talking to you about this today. I have been working for a very long time on a series of books called Go Creative Books. Some of you have been with me on my travels with that, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But I have decided that I want to take this whole idea of going creative and creativity and creativism, and I'll explain what that is in a moment, much wider. And to do and talk about what has been really key in my own life, which is the creative process and the lack of creative education that most of us have, and the misunderstandings that most of us have, and the way in which we don't really get it. We don't understand the creative process. We don't realize how widely it can be used. And I've come really to think and to believe that it is key. It's really important for us to get a deeper understanding of it and to begin to use it more widely in our lives. And that's what the Go Creative Show is going to be all about. I talk about creative writing, creative publishing, and creative living in the Go Creative Show. And each month I will also, and one show a month, talk about what I'm creating in my writing, in my publishing, and indeed in my life, because that's what it's all really about. It's about understanding that the process, the same process that creates a book, in terms of writing it and getting the words together and putting it together, in terms of publishing it and putting it between two covers or into a digital format and getting it to reach a reader, and our lives. The same process is at play when we're trying to make money, get a job, develop a better relationship, whatever. And that's something we don't realize. You know, our society makes us think that the creative process belongs to a certain kind of person, a writer, an artist, a performer, perhaps an engineer, maybe an innovator, an entrepreneur now. But, you know, that it is something apart and that you kind of do it if you are a different kind of person. And nothing could be further from the truth. There are huge, huge myths about the creative process, about creativity, about creativism. We're taught in a school system that doesn't understand the creative process, that is slightly fears it. And so, you know, it puts all its weight on what we call intelligence, by which they mean one very small part of our intelligence. And as a result, we're deeply undereducated in terms of our creative abilities. So when we come to try and make something, whatever it may be in our lives, we actually don't understand what happens when we get stuck. We don't understand why. We don't know how to get out of that. We blame ourselves very often. And it may go even further. It may even be presented back to ourselves as a psychological problem, because if you're not in touch with your own creative potential, first of all, you become disillusioned with what you're trying to do in your life, what you're trying to make. Then you become disappointed, perhaps even depressed, perhaps even despairing. And you will be told then that you have a psychological problem, where in fact, what you possibly started off with was an education problem. You're just not creatively well educated. So one of the core functions of the Go Creative series and of the Go Creative Show is to up your creative education, to teach you what actually works in the creative process, to teach you about the 7 stages. It can be confusing, creativity. It can feel a little bit overwhelming. And because we don't understand that those 7 stages that we take everything through have very different needs and requirements in each stage, and we don't you know, we often bring the skills and approaches that are appropriate to one stage into another, and again come into this block and stuck scenario. So very much, as I said, about talking about how it works, what the process is, what creative principles are, how they look, and how you develop your relationship with your own innate creative potential and capacity. It's there, whether you're using it or not. It's very like a muscle or an underground stream. It's just there for you always, if you are there for it, if you know how to turn in there and actually harness it, ignite it, foster it, and get yourself into flow. That's the term that we use, you know, blocked or in flow. These are the two kind of relationships you can be having with your own creative process. And there are very identifiable ways of getting out of block and of fostering flow that we quite honestly didn't know about until about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The internet has been a huge part of that in terms of telling people, you know, stitching together anecdotes from across the centuries and across cultures and across research work in all sorts of disparate areas. We're now understanding things about the creative process that we never understood before. One of them being that creative potential is something that is innate to every single human person. Wanting things, creating things from those wants is essentially what gets you from being a child into being an adult. You know, you learn to walk that way. It is your wants that direct you, and your creative intention around what you want to create is what's always leading you on in your own evolution, in your own growth, and in your own development. So we'll talk lots about that. A number of you have questions which you're sending in. We'll have a section called Ask Orna for that. So you can ask me anything about anything to do with the creative process. I believe, through my own experience, more than believe, I have witnessed and have seen in teaching the creative process for many years in many, many different kinds of situations. You know, I've been in empty, cold community halls, and I've been in huge, plush conference rooms in hotels. I've been in publishing conferences talking to people who are embedded in the writing and publishing industry, and I have worked with prisoners. I have worked with people who are recovering from drug addiction. I've worked with immigrant groups. So every kind of spectrum across every creed and class. And I know from watching people and seeing what happens once people understand the process and once they're connected to their own creativity, it's really, truly unbelievable, some of the things that can happen. It is a magical process. It's everyday magic, and it's there for us all. So I have taken a lot of time away from my own fiction writing and poetry writing to put these books together, and now I find myself compelled to put this show together. And the reason for that is because I really believe that it is urgently needed in our society that we connect with our creative potential. Our society, by which I mean liberal, developed democracies, are facing huge challenges in terms of what we are creating in the world, and understanding that there is a mindset that accompanies the creative approach to life, and that is what I call creativism. Approaching life, every single challenge that you meet, every moment of the day is the aim, with a creative mind state, the create state we call it in the Go Creative books. With that state in place, life looks different to the way it looks if you have a communitarian mind state in place, or if you have an ambitious mind state in place. There are 7 mind states, and we all contain them all, but one is dominant in our lives at a particular time. And that's one of the things that we will be doing constantly within the books and on the show is talking about ways in which the create state is induced, how we get in there, and how we hold it, and how we enjoy it, and how we use it. And frankly, we need to get there because, as I said, our challenges are immense in our society at the moment, and only the ability to connect with the creative is going to make the sort of leaps that we need to make to evolve humanity to the next level. It's a movement that's already happening. We are living in the creative age. It's a wonderful time to be alive. It's always a good time to be alive, but this is a particularly great time to be alive because we are so connected now as a species. We are coming out of our tribal way of understanding life. We're coming out of a competitive way of understanding life. We're even coming out of the communitarian way of understanding life into the creative, and signs of that are all around us. People are talking about creativity in a way that they never talked about it before. So it's about becoming part of a movement. We will be making that formal. I'm going to have a creativist club which will launch early in 2017, and you are invited to join. And 3 members, 3 people will actually get a free lifetime membership if you sign up now to the Go Creative Mail, the weekly motivator mail, which is available at the moment on the website ornaross.com. You'll be informed about all of that. But aside from the club, we will be looking each week at a different aspect of the creative. So I'll be talking one week about creative writing, and each week there will be with me for one segment of the show, a regular contributor. And for the creative writing segment, that's going to be Mr. Dan Blank, whom the writers among you will be familiar with Dan already. He is a wonderful teacher. And what Dan does is teach people how to connect with their audience, teaches writers how to tap into, again, that creative place and take the creativity out of the writing itself and use it to reach a wider audience. And so he will be coming in each month with a creative writing 3 top tips for the month around a particular theme. Our first session will be the week after next, and he'll be talking then about goal setting, starting off from the start, how you actually set your creative intentions to achieve what you want to achieve. Secondly, we'll be talking about creative publishing, and the regular contributors there will be the Creative Pen, Joanna Penn, my very good friend that I work with on the Alliance of Independent Authors. She is an advisor there, and each month we answer publishing questions. And from that hour-long show, I'll be bringing sort of highlights of creative publishing questions. Also, Porter Anderson or Jane Friedman from the Hot Sheet will be coming in to tell us the top 3 publishing news snippets that everybody wants to know in that particular month. So that's the creative publishing. But 2 sessions a month will be about creative living, and we'll be talking about how you apply the creative process to money, to exercise, to your relationships, to whatever it is you want to talk about. And in that section, we will also have a regular contributor around all of the kind of lifestyle stuff that you need to support a good creative practice. So we'll be talking about free writing, which is a form of writing that I've been teaching for many years. Free stands for fast, raw, and exact, but easy. And it is a particular way of expressive writing that is useful not just for writers at all, for anybody and everybody. It's just a really great way of tapping into what your the mind that maybe you don't want to fully acknowledge is thinking, or maybe don't know that it's there. It's a great way of finding out what you don't know that you know. We'll also be talking about inspiration meditation, and which is all the different ways in which you can just kind of slow the mind, stop the thinking mind, because key to being more creative is learning how to turn off the conventional mind, conceptual mind, the mind that's full of ideas and concepts and so on. So we'll be talking it's about mindfulness, mindful walking, mindful running, mindful exercise, and mindful living, and creative living, and where those two things meet and where they differ and so on. And we will be talking about your issues, your problems, your challenges, what you want to create, and how that's going for you, and how you want to do it. So there's going to be lots going on around here. I am really looking forward to welcoming you each week. And there is, as I said already, a weekly motivator mail that you can sign up for. It's there on the website at www.ornaross.com. If you sign up for that weekly mail, you'll find out all about the show. You can also subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher to the audio, and the video, each video will be here on YouTube, and we will keep you alerted to how to access it. So I really hope you'll come along. I think it's going to be a really interesting time. I'm not sure how long it will run for, but it will run for at least a year. And then we'll see how we're doing at the end of that year. And yeah, so we'll start next week. We'll start with creative living and what it means to live creatively, what it means to bring the creative process into every aspect of your life. And I hope you'll join me then, and I look forward to going creative with you. Thank you so much. Bye now.